What is going on, guys? Gavin here, back with another Formula One World Championship podcast. If you guys enjoy these, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get right into it with the first topic. Lap 1, Turn 1 incident. Lando Norris not crashing, but tapping into the back of Max Verstappen. According to some people, he didn't even feel it. And then, more importantly, wheel banging with his teammate, which in the incident itself, like disregarding everything else that's been said, the incident itself is just a racing incident. Um, it's lap one, turn one in Singapore. You're not probably going to overtake anywhere else unless you're Carlos Sainz and Fernando Alonso. But you got to do it. It's not We've been criticizing Lando Norris all of his career, it feels like, for not being aggressive enough, not trying to go for overtakes. And last time out in Baku, we were saying, oh, does he even want to win the race, being behind, Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda? Although some people say, was the pit stop? Maybe it was. But I like this Lando Norris that we saw in Singapore. He got past his teammate, made up two positions at the start. It feels like, and this is what we've been wanting for. We want some spice in the championship, and I'm not saying that Oscar doesn't have any right to. I'm not saying that he doesn't have any right to complain because he does, but not for the incident itself. And going into our next talking point is the papaya rules that have been laid out, which is um, what he can complain about because the rules, as he understood it, were they can race, but they can't touch. This is the second time that um, that they've touched, obviously, with Lando crashing himself out in Canada. But no harm for Piastri, really, that we know of. It's been a day. I'm recording this on the 6th. It's been a full day, almost a full 2 days actually, because it's actually 12:01 on the 7th now. But Max didn't get any damage. Piastri didn't get any damage. If they did, he was complaining on the radio for him to be let through again. Which, if they did that, I would have just stopped watching F1 because it's not the same as what we saw in Monza with the slow pit stop. They were trying to keep it fair in terms of it was the team's fault and not the driver's fault for it being like that. And I see how it is different, but I also do see how um, Piastri could stand a little on that argument. But I'm glad they didn't swap them back because that would have just been stupid. And then, yeah, the gap in the championship is only 22 points. And is Max still in the championship, which is our next talking point? I would say yes and no. He didn't, like, points value wise, he didn't do enough to say that he's in the championship still, but putting it into context, he did gain 3 points on the championship leader, or he gained 6 points on the championship leader, actually. Um, and on a track that he wasn't supposed to gain at all, and he was supposed to lose points. This is supposed to be, a damage control track for Max Verstappen and the Red Bull team, and he did gain. So, and he has very good tracks coming up for him. He's good in Austin. He's great at Mexico City. He's great at Interlagos. So we'll just have to see if we'll see after Austin probably. I know we were all saying that we'll see after Singapore, but we'll for sure see after Austin if he is actually a championship contender. If anyone can do it, it is Max Verstappen, the clear number one driver in the world right now. And yeah, we'll just have to see. But going to the next talking point, which is, in my opinion, the clear number two driver in Formula One, George Russell. Fantastic performance from him. He put it on pole with the beautiful lap, won by 5 seconds. It was a very anonymous weekend for him in the fact that he just took pole and won. Nobody thought Mercedes could do it, but the two times that Mercedes have been in it to win it, George Russell has won it, and he's, in my opinion, the clear number two driver in Formula One at this moment in time on the 7th of October 2025. Which brings me to my next talking point. Why won't Mercedes just give him what he wants? I know they want the 1+1. George Russell wants the 2+1. They're maybe wanting to see is Max Verstappen going to stay at Red Bull after 2026, which is probably the reason why um, that they won't sign him. But it's just stupid to me because George Russell is the guy. He's beaten Kimi Antonelli pretty handily when a lot of people said that he wouldn't. And I know that Kimi is a rookie, but 2 wins now in the season, you gotta just give him what he wants. To be honest, it's a no-brainer. If they somehow fumble George Russell off the team for 2026, it would be a generational fumble, like a generational fumble. So Mercedes, he more than likely he will drive for Mercedes next year, but you gotta just sign the man, and yeah, sign the man. Which brings me to my next talking point of the F1 TV direction, and not F1 TV, but the F1 television direction, the main broadcast with Crofty. If you watched the race live, you would have thought that it was a snooze fest, boring, because all they were showing was Max and Lando battling it out. But yeah, if something happened, it would have, and you missed it, it would have been terrible. But use the box on the side for, Lewis versus Fernando on the final lap. If Lewis going all over the place, all over the track, Fernando catching up 30 seconds a lap or whatever it was, and then finally, technically winning out, but losing out on the track by a few tenths. And then Carlos Sainz making up 5 positions in 10 laps or whatever it was. There was overtaking, and Carlos Sainz, he scored a point. I mean, you can't show that in the side box or anything, which, I mean, the TV direction's been terrible for years now, but, you know, what can you do about it but complain? And then a crazy, 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 crazy thing. Why the hell does Singapore have a sprint next year? I mean, what was maybe I don't know. I don't know. It's a horrible sprint. Terrible. Maybe it'll give practice one some actual meaning, but they won't have practice for the actual Grand Prix because they only unless they do change it, but they won't. They only have the one practice session during the day, and then they have sprint quali at night, and then they have the sprint race. I guess sprint quali at no, yeah, sprint quali at night. Then the sprint race in the afternoon, then Grand Prix quali at night, and then the race at night. So maybe those two qualifying sessions, but the practice session being during the day doesn't really help. I guess they didn't really get practice this weekend at night with all the red flags in practice too, but I still don't get the thought behind Singapore having a sprint and Brazil not. But what can you do but complain, right? Carlos Sainz and Fernando Alonso making up positions. Obviously, Fernando crashing out on the radio. I would too if I was in the pit box for nearly 10 seconds. And Carlos Sainz, the double Williams DSQ in qualifying. I mean, that's just a team error. It's just a team error. 13th and 14th obviously wasn't great on the grid, anyways, but Carlos Sainz was able to make up 5 positions in the final 10 laps. So, and he scored a point, and he's been looking better over the course of these last few races compared to the rest of the season. So maybe he can turn it around and go on a charge at the end. And then looking at my predictions overview that I did on Instagram, I did not get any of these right. I need to stop sleeping on George Russell. P5, I picked George Russell, no. In P4, I picked Alex Albon, no. In P3, I picked Oscar Piastri, no, close. In P2, I picked Lewis Hamilton. For Roscoe, I was hoping maybe he could do something there, rest in peace. And then P1, I picked Lando Norris. I didn't think that Max Verstappen was going to be able to do anything there. And then let's see. And then my hot take of the day is neither Lando Norris or Oscar Piastri are a top 5 driver in Formula One. Neither Lando Norris or Oscar Piastri are a top 5 driver in Formula One. Let me know if you agree. If not, I'll see you in a couple of weeks' time for the Austin predictions. See you guys later. Peace.